Thank you for watching or listening to the ASB Author Showcase, spotlighting authors from around the world. ASB Author Showcase is produced by Authors School of Business, an author-owned organization helping authors to fully understand the business side of being an author. If you would like to be on the show or to be a sponsor of the show, simply email us at authorschool@outlook.com. Your hostess for today's show is Rox Burkey.
Good day and welcome to Author Showcase. My name is Rox Burkey and I am here today with one of my favorite authors, Jan Sikes. Jan, welcome.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
I mean, this is such a fun day for us. We get to talk about the White Rune series, and that is so exciting. And I want to focus on the one that you just won an award for, and that was Jagged Feathers. Tell me about that.
Well, the main character for Jagged Feathers came into the first book, into Ghostly Interference, as kind of a side character. And, you know, honestly, I just wrote the one book. I didn't know it was going to be a series. And then it just seemed like that Van Noble needed to have his own happy ending because he had been through so much. So he's introduced in the first book. He's the main character in the second book, and he is a wounded warrior. He's returned from Afghanistan with emotional and physical wounds, and just trying to find a way to heal. And then just by happenstance, he runs across Nikina Bird, who is running from a drug cartel who is after her. And so, yeah, it takes a lot of a lot of crazy directions, but it was so much fun to write.
And it's a really exciting book to read. And I think what I really want to share with the listeners today, Jan, is I want to take a small step back and just say, how did you get the inspiration to really focus on the White Rune?
So anybody that knows me knows that I am a student of and a fan of all things metaphysical. And so when I was living in Denver, Colorado for a year, I took I got connected with some great groups, and I mean, it's a wonderful environment for that kind of thing. And I got introduced to runes and actually made a set of runes. So runes originally started as part of a Germanic alphabet, and they are now used in our modern day times for divination, kind of like tarot cards or the I Ching, that sort of thing. So I don't know, I needed something to tie all the books together. And so it just seemed that would be kind of a fun and different way to do it. And so the rune symbol I chose to use was the Wunyo symbol, which is it signifies a happy ever after. And so that fit all of the stories, and these characters all needed a chance for their happy ever after.
Well, and I think that's what makes this so very different. So, you know, I've known you for quite some time, and I've read several things that you have written, Jan, and, you know, you're almost like the reluctant author.
I think I may embrace that. That may become my logo. Jan Sikes, the reluctant author.
Well, I mean, seriously, you never intended to go to this kind of length, as I recall. I mean, you know, how did you decide from, well, the one story I really have to tell this story. I got to tell this story to go for now. You got this wonderful series going on. How did you get from A to B?
I don't know, Rox. It's kind of like, it seems like I've always lived my life just kind of going where the balloons pulled me, and it never really had a specific goal or direction except for one thing, and that was from the time I was 19 years old. I knew that I had to spend my life with Rick Sikes. Took a long time to get there, but I don't know. It's just kind of like I started the journey writing the true story, and then I thought I would just be done and that'd be all I would do. But in the process of doing that, I actually got the inspiration for the Ghostly Interference story, but the working title had been When Two Worlds Collide, because it really kind of described the story. But I couldn't stop what I was doing and start to work on that. But so in the middle of all, it's like once the creative juices start flowing, how do you turn off the spigot? right? And so that's what happened to me. And as long as the stories and the ideas and the inspirations keep coming, then I will continue to write them. If that well runs dry, then I'll be done. But it hadn't happened yet.
No, and you're a very creative person anyways. You have music in your background. You have, I think you have some poetry in your background, as I recall, and certainly
I do.
Both fiction and nonfiction, or nonfiction that's fictionalized, I guess would be a better term for it.
Yeah.
But you seem to be having fun. So do all authors have fun, or are you like struggling to make that fun factor?
You know, that's the other thing about this whole journey, is that if it gets to the point that it is not exhilarating to write a book, then I'll stop, because I don't want that joy to turn into a chore. And part of that, the freedom of being an indie author or being with a small publishing house is the freedom that you're not tied to deadlines. You have the creative ability to tell the story however you need to tell it. A good example is, I finished a book last year and it's just sitting there. I don't know what I want to do with it, but until I know, I'll just leave it sitting there. But to me, if it's not enjoyable and it becomes a job, it's a job that doesn't pay very much. So go get a different job.
Hey, you have to have a job to pay for your fun. I mean, it's just the way we roll.
Yeah.
So Jagged Feathers, I mean, it won a very important award. And how did that award affect you when you learned that you had won?
Well, with it's like our books are our babies. And so it's like, you've got this beautiful little girl, and you enter her in a beauty pageant and she wins. Of course, you're ecstatic, because it's kind of like confirmation that maybe you did a good job somewhere along the way. So that's how I see and view awards, and that somebody else enjoyed what I created is just, it's very satisfying. I feel like I'm making some kind of a contribution to somebody's life, whether it's just for pure entertainment, or whether it's maybe they've learned, maybe they never heard of runes and they're like learning about runes. So just that, to me, that it is just a confirmation that maybe somewhere along the way in all my stumbling, I might have done a good job.
Oh, I think so. I mean, you've won several awards. This particular one, though, is one that, is it's a real valuable award. It's so hard fought to be able to get that kind of an achievement. So how long did it take you to put together Jagged Feathers?
Honestly, it's kind of like having a baby. It takes me about 9 months to write a book. To write a full-length novel, it takes about 9 months. And that's working at it pretty steady. And I think one thing that anyone who hasn't written a book couldn't begin to understand the time dedication that goes into creating these stories. You're in for the long haul. And once you get invested in the story and in the characters and in relaying the story, it becomes a very big time investment.
No kidding. And the characters in this particular story, Jagged Feathers, are very vivid, very realistic. You can almost want to, go out to lunch with them and just see that everything is okay.
That's always my goal. That is always my goal, is that my characters are relatable. And the name for my female character, Nakina Bird, I actually met a woman back in probably 2016. Her name was Nakina.
Yeah.
And at that time, I thought, what a beautiful name. And I had no idea I would ever use it in a story. At that time, I was still working on my true story. So no idea, but that name just stuck. So I was glad I got to use it and give her a little bit of a Native American aspect, and then the abilities that she's dealing with. It's kind of like each one of these characters, Van Noble and Nakina Bird, they both had weaknesses, and throughout the story, their weaknesses became their strengths.
And that's So Jan,
I'm not sure I intended for that to happen. It just happened.
So Jan, we need to take a small pause to hear from our sponsors. And when we come back, I want to dig a little bit more into the complement and contrast between those characters. So stick around.
Each and every one of us has a mission in life. Mine is to help people laugh through the good times and the bad. My name is Charlotte Canyon, and I am an author, a speaker, and a host on Indie Beacon Radio. If you need me to speak at an event or autograph my book, you can contact me at charlotte@charlottecanyon.com. Thank you, and have a blessed day.
Looking to take your writing career to the next level? Look no further than 100 plus questions a writer/author should ask. With over 100 questions curated by award-winning author and speaker B. Alan Bourgeois, the founder and CEO of the Authors School of Business, this book is a must-have for any aspiring or established writer. Bourgeois, a seasoned publisher, author advocate, and educator, brings his wealth of experience to the table to help you better understand the publishing world and succeed in your career. Don't miss out on this valuable resource. Get an additional bonus of a 1-month free subscription to the Authors School of Business valued at $12.95.
Mary Ann Fairmouth is a career consultant with 30 years' experience in the national recruiting world, a multi-award-winning author in multi-genres, and a speaker that gives presentations to help you succeed. Her book, Revolutionary Recruiting, made the top 20 global list of recruiting books. Find her on Amazon, your favorite bookstore, or at fairmouth.com. Welcome back to the ASB Author Showcase with your host, B. Alan Bourgeois.
Welcome back to Author Showcase. I'm Rox Burkey, and I'm here today with Jan Sikes, and we're talking about her White Rune series, and we're focusing on Jagged Feathers. So, Jan, when we broke away, we were talking about how your characterization and vividness of descriptions and dialogue make your characters so believable. And so was that your initial intent with them, or did that happen as you were forming the book?
It's always my intent. When I am creating these characters, I need to believe them. So first of all, it has to start with me. And if I can believe in who they are and what makes them like they are, then it makes it easier to get it across on paper. And I think sometimes that's one of the biggest challenges of writing and keeping it realistic, and especially with dialogue, because when we're talking, we don't always talk in full, complete sentences. And so if we have our characters talking in full, complete sentences and I don't always say, I don't always address you, Rox, yes, we're going to go do this, or Rox, would you like to do that? So if there's only 2 characters in the scene, I try to keep, they're not going to call each other by their name. So I hear the conversation in my head, and I want to get that conversation across the way I hear it. So a lot of times it's using slang words and not proper English, because that's the way we talk. We don't talk in proper English. So that's always my goal, is to make the characters believable and to get their personalities across to the reader.
So this series itself, who is your audience? Who did you focus on to deliver this series to? Is this like a YA, or is it more of mature adults or veterans, or?
It's definitely not a YA. Because there are some explicit sex scenes in each book. So I would not want my grandchildren reading these books until they're grown. So no, they are for mature adults. And, and this is probably a downfall for me, but I never think about my audience when I'm creating a book. I just think about the story. And maybe why my bank account stays so low. But it's just, I never think about it from a commercial aspect when I'm creating the stories. I just write the story.
One thing that's very interesting about this series is they have very distinctive covers. They pretty much are from the same genre, and yet the covers are distinctive enough that they seem to work together. So how much hand did you have in creating these covers?
You know, when you work with the publisher, it's so much different than being an indie author where you have full total control. What I am allowed, or what I was allowed to provide for the cover artist, was 3 things. So I knew that each cover needed the white rune on it because that's what ties them all together. And other than that, it needed to go with the theme of that story. And so with Jagged Feathers, one of the scenes in the book involves a dream catcher. And so I thought that would be nice on the cover. So I could offer 3 suggestions, and then the cover designer came up with whatever she came up with, and then I could ask for 1 change. That was it. And if I needed more than 1 change, well, too bad, so sad. But they came out beautifully, really, and I'm very, very happy with the covers.
So on the 3 books, you had mentioned that, you know, it's like having a baby. All right, so with this triplets that are behind you, which one's your favorite?
I honestly have to say, I think the last one is my favorite. I think it's my best work. And I hope that each book I ever produce is my favorite because I did a better job. That's always my goal. I want that book to be better than the one before, and that book to be better than the one before. And I'm always learning, and I'm always growing in this craft. And that's one thing I love about it, because it is a very fluid craft. It's not like you just arrive at a point and like, okay, I've got it all. It's very fluid. It's like water. And so I feel like I'm always learning a new way to express. I'm always learning and growing. And I like that. So yeah. I think my most recent one is my favorite of the 3, but I love them all, and I love all the characters, and all of the characters in the subsequent books all came into book 1 just as a side character or introduction.
So just to make sure that the readers, especially those that may be listening to this as a delivery as opposed to watching it, what are the titles of the books in order, Jan? So book number 1 with the
book number 1 is Ghostly Interference, and book number 2 is Jagged Feathers, and book number 3 is Saddled Hearts.
So they all have elements of a little bit of paranormal in them. They all have a little bit of romance in them. So when you put your books together for this, how are you structuring them? Are you outlining the whole thing, Jan, or are you kind of, you know, give some hints to our listening audience who are trying to create a book? What's your process?
So I always know where the book's going to start and where the book's going to end. What I don't know is everything that happens in between, as I am not a plotter. I don't have that ability in me to sit down and plot out a whole book. To me, that would be very boring. And to me, it would stifle my creativity. Not that that's not right for everyone, because I know some fantastic writers who always plot their stories. But I kind of am a mixture of a plotter and a pantser. So I guess I'm a plantster. I don't know. But I always know where the story's going to start, and I always know how it's going to end when I begin. And that's kind of the structure.
So you've had some different kinds of acknowledgement of these stories to go in some different directions. Do you want to share that with the listeners as far as what's happening with them over and above just being a story that's read?
Well, so each one of the 3 books has received some wonderful recognition, and I'm so proud of that, because this was my first. Ghostly Interference was my debut fiction novel. I've written a lot of short stories and then the true story, but this was my debut fiction novel. And so for it to receive international recognition was very exciting to me. And I don't know, I have some wonderful followers. I have some wonderful readers. They're so good to read and review and pass on, and they send me kind remarks. It's like, I don't know, that's kind of it's always a joy when a book is well received, because you just feel like, well, maybe I got it. Maybe I did get across what I was trying to get across in the story. And one of the things in Jagged Feathers that for me on a very personal level was the injury that Van Noble had sustained in Afghanistan, where he lost part of his leg. Having lived with someone who was an amputee, I had a lot of firsthand knowledge about the changes that makes to one's life. And so, I will say that probably every single one of my books has a very much something personal that either occurred in my life, or I knew someone that it did, or something. They say write what you know. So I've written what I knew.
And you've done it very well. So Jan, we're going to take another short break. When we come back, I want you to share with the listeners some of the places they can find you, see you, meet you, hug you, get books. So stay tuned.
The 2024 Year of the Indie Authors is a year-long celebration of self-published writers who have made a significant impact on the literary world. Independent authors are writers who don't rely on traditional publishing houses, but instead take control of every aspect of their book, from writing to marketing and distribution. Self-publishing has opened doors for writers to reach a global audience and retain creative control over their work.
As an indie author, you can benefit from complete control over your book, including content, cover design, pricing, and distribution. You also retain all the rights to your work, allowing for greater royalties in the long term. Indie authors write across all genres, providing readers with a diverse selection of books at affordable prices. The 2024 Year of the Indie Authors is a time to celebrate the hard work and dedication of self-published writers. It's an opportunity to discover new authors and stories, support artistic freedom, and encourage writers to take creative risks. For authors, it's a chance to showcase their work, gain recognition, and network with other indie authors.
Our mission is to celebrate and recognize the contribution of independent authors to the literary world during the 2024 Year of the Indie Authors. We value appreciation, recognition, and inclusivity, and offer various initiatives such as events, promotions, and networking opportunities. We provide a platform for indie authors to showcase their work and connect with other writers while promoting the affordability and accessibility of self-published books. Join us in creating a supportive and inclusive community that fosters creativity and recognition for indie authors.
The garden was still there, full of vegetables and flowers, and a little lone rabbit sat nibbling on a pea plant. Cooney picked, chopped, and cooked some cabbage. Chop, chop, chop. And Coda picked 2 carrots and cut them into pieces. I'm so happy to have a new friend. The end. Wasn't that fun?
Yeah!
As an author, it's important to find an organization that can provide the resources and support you need to succeed in the publishing industry. The Authors School of Business, ASB, is a well-respected organization that has been helping authors learn how to market and sell themselves and their books since 2011. Here are a few reasons why you should consider joining ASB instead of another organization. 1. Expertise and experience. 2. Comprehensive education. 3. Customized learning options. 4. Community and networking. 5. Cost-effective and flexible membership options. ASB is an excellent choice for authors who want to succeed in the publishing industry. By joining ASB, you can benefit from the organization's expertise and experience, receive comprehensive education, customize your learning experience, connect with a supportive community, and enjoy flexible and cost-effective membership options.
Welcome back to the ASB Author Showcase with your hostess, Rox Burkey.
Welcome back to Author Showcase. I'm Rox Burkey, and I'm here with Jan Sikes, and we're having so much fun talking about the White Room series, and you've heard a lot about the characters. Each of these books I have personally read, and I can tell you they're outstanding, and they're very different. So it is definitely something that you will want to do, because I really think each of them do stand alone. They're richer when they're read in order. So Jan, where can people find you online?
Well, I have a website, and it's very simple. It's jansikes.com, and that's SIKES. I have a blog that is jansikesblog.com, and I like to say I have a very active blog, and I enjoy that aspect of marketing through the blog. I'm on Facebook, author Jan Sikes Books. I'm on Twitter, Jan Sikes 3. I'm on Instagram, backwards Sikes Jan. I think that kind of pretty much covers. I dabbled with TikTok for a little bit and decided it was not the platform for me. I just didn't have the knowledge or the time to invest in trying to build new followers on a new platform. But it was fun.
It's a lot of work. Marketing is, what percentage of the time do you spend marketing your books?
That's such a hard question because it varies depending on the day and depending on the project that I've got going. When I just finished a novella that has taken me way too long to write, but I finished it, so that was good. I try to limit, and when you talk about marketing, to me that includes visiting other people's blogs, because I think that is very important. If you're going to have a blog and you want people to come to your blog, you've got to go to theirs. That's just the way it goes. So I do spend a lot of and usually first thing in the morning, I try to clear that out. I clear out my inbox and I try to go follow and comment on the blogs, and then I can settle down. I think it's kind of OCD of me, but if that's always in the back of my mind, oh, you haven't done that yet, you haven't done that yet, it's hard to concentrate, and it's hard to get into the flow of creative writing. I would say I average at least 2 hours a day doing nothing but that.
So on your website, Jan, is there a way that people can reach out to you directly from an email and get you to respond, or is that better on your blog? Or
no, it's on my website. There is a contact form. There also is a newsletter sign up that is on my website that pops up when you go to visit. And I don't send out a lot of newsletters. I try to send out one a month because my inbox gets flooded, so I know other people's do too. But yeah, I do have a contact form on my website, on my blog. You can contact me through Facebook. You can contact me on Twitter. So yeah, I'm not hard to find.
Where is the next place that people can meet you and get a signed book from you?
Oh goodness. The next thing I have coming up is it's a book fair in Greenville, Texas at the library. And I am going to be embarrassed because I don't remember the date, but I want to say it's sometime in June. I can't remember the date.
But that's the website, right? If they want to see you and meet you, it's on your website, right? There's a calendar on there.
No, but I should have. Let's see. Did I put it on my calendar? Surely I did. Oh, it's July 22nd. July 22nd.
July 22nd in Greenville, Texas. Meet Jan Sikes and get her to sign a book for you and tell you all about her stuff. Jan, I want to thank you so much for joining us today on Author Showcase. You have a lot of really good stories, and I look forward to getting the next one, including that novella. What's the name of that one?
The Edge of Too Late.
Edge of Too Late. Jan, thank you again. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching or listening to the ASB Author Showcase, spotlighting authors from around the world. ASB Author Showcase is produced by Authors School of Business, an author-owned organization helping authors to fully understand the business side of being an author. If you would like to be on the show or to be a sponsor of the show, simply email us at authorschool@outlook.com. Thank you to Happy Follows for creating the music Frolic of Words for the ASB Author Showcase. You can find his music on all major platforms,